Hello, what's up guys? I'm Kyle from KGR, and this is the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Tornado set. This goes with the 2.5-inch scale figures, and it's also supposed to coexist with the Death Eggman robot set coming out, I don't know when, but they talk about it in the description on the Jakks Pacific website. I'll provide a link in the description for both the website as well as the listing for Walmart for you to pick this thing up. I ordered it online, but I ordered 2 of them because I knew a friend who wanted one, so I can get free shipping. So try and do that. See if you have a friend who wants it too, and just split the cost so there's free shipping for you. But with this Tornado set, obviously we get the Tornado itself, we get Sonic, and we also get a special version of Tails with headgear on. And plus, we're getting it for the Tornado. The plane's so cool looking. This thing retails for, I think it's $19.99 or something like that, or pretty close to that, around $20. And I think it's worth every penny. This thing is so cool. There's not a lot of Tornado merchandise. Like, we've gotten one from Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing with Jazzwares. I've had that, but the propeller broke since my shelf fell off the wall, so that sucked. There was also one from Sonic Boom with Tomy. I don't have that. Sadly, I don't have the original Tornado with me either, so I can't compare the two, so sorry. But this is the closest thing to a legit plane, ever for Tails, so this is going to be really neat. And I also want to see how do the Jazzwares figures fit in this, because like I said in my last video, Jazzwares is my primary action figure collection for Sonic. So since the 2.5 inch is almost in the same scale as the Jazzwares figures, I want to see how well they can fit in here as well. But before I get more into the review, I want to ask a comment of the day, or a question of the day. When do you plan on seeing the new Sonic movie? I plan on seeing it Thursday night. I pre-ordered my tickets, I got my seats ready. I'm super excited. I'm going to get off work early to see this movie. But do you plan on seeing it Thursday night? Do you plan on seeing it opening weekend? Or are you just going to wait for the Blu-ray or Netflix release? Let me know in the comments. Or are you just going to see it whenever you have the time? But back to this box right here. So we don't get a window display or anything. We just get a little teaser right up here. I haven't seen these in Walmart stores yet, but I don't really go to Walmart all that much, to be quite honest with you. But on the front, we do get a very different render. I want to say different. It's not that I don't like it. A lot of people are very upset with how Sonic looks because they say it looks more like modern Sonic but with blue arms. And when you look at it online, you can definitely see that. But when you see it in person, it looks more like, it does look like the movie Sonic, but it has the physical energy of canon Sonic. So I kind of like it like that, to be honest. And Tails, it looks like something. Then on the one side of the box, we get a very pixelated picture of the Tornado, but it talks about how the propellers spin. That's the main gimmick of this thing. Then it also says pose your figures, but it's a 2.5 inch figure, so you're not going to be able to pose them that well. Then on the back, we get to see more of what the Tornado looks like with the Sonic and Tails figures. And then it talks about how you got to press it down to activate the propeller. And then it talks about how you can peg Sonic's feet onto the top part of the Tornado, which we'll demonstrate that later as well. And then we get a render of Sonic on the side, like you see on a lot of other merchandise anyway. Then at the top just says Tornado. The bottom is just legal mumbo jumbo. So let's take a look at the actual product. I want to say let's open it up. I have already opened this thing. This is an empty box. Let's look at the plane. And here is the Tornado itself. Now, the website does mention that there is assembly required, and that is true, but half of it is mostly done for you anyway. Like, for example, the stickers, they're all put on for you. So that gets rid of half the annoyance of putting this thing together. It does come with instructions. However, the instructions don't really tell you how to put together everything. It's more of a checklist and a legal mumbo-jumbo pamphlet. However, the support beams and the top part and the bottom wheels are the only things you gotta put on, from what I noticed. I think you gotta put the bottom thing in here as well. Well, I can't remember. I think you do. But this tucks in under the front landing gear. But anyway, everything snaps in together very easily. The peg holes only fit in one way, so it's kind of difficult for you to screw it up. So as long as you're not in kindergarten, you should be okay. When it comes to details on the plane, I mean, it looks incredible. The only thing that's lacking in detail is the cockpit. Like, there is no RPMs, there's no altitude, longitude meter or anything. There's nothing in the cockpit for the stickers or anything. So if that's gonna disappoint you, I'm sorry. Because of me being on camera, I forget what the center stick is called, so we're just going to call it the arcade stick, just for laughs. But the arcade stick is very flexible, so getting Tails to grab onto that thing is kind of difficult, but you almost want him to grab it because he just sits in there very loosely. Like, he fits in there, but it's not a super snug fit. It's not gonna, like, hold him for sure. So if you have this plane upside down, you're trying to do a barrel roll, yeah, Tails is gonna fall out. He's no Star Fox. And the main gimmick of this thing is here you're supposed to press this thing down on the table to activate the propeller. But personally, I like just holding it and then doing it. But the thing I actually had the most fun doing, which I don't recommend doing, by the way, is here being in the passenger seat of someone's car and then holding on to Tails with your index finger for dear life, holding him down in the cockpit and holding onto the plane and just taking it outside the window and seeing that propeller go. I posted that on Twitter and it got a lot more attention than I expected it to, so that was actually really awesome. But again, don't do that because you might drop it, you might break it, you might cause an accident, it's gonna get destroyed by someone else's car, or the car might get destroyed because of this freaking toy plane. And your mommy and daddy are not gonna like that with their insurance companies and their insurance claims. So don't do that. Just hold it in front of a fan and just have fun with that, I guess. The only gripes I have with this plane, besides not having the sticker attention to detail thing in the cockpit, which that's just a minor complaint. That's not a real, it's not a huge complaint that I should take off for the review. But the thing I don't like is that the support beams, also the fact that the instructions weren't too clear for kids, I guess. It's not like a model kit, assembly kit type of situation. But like, even though it is relatively easy to put this thing together, I kind of wish that they snapped in better. Like, because sometimes I'll be playing with the thing and sometimes the support beams just pop out. They fit on mostly tight, but you don't hear a satisfying click. Like, I just thought I pressed it in, but no, I didn't. It just came back out. So it makes disassembly easier, I guess, if you want to store it. But it's really annoying to like try and keep together when you're trying to play with it. But overall, it looks great. I love the way this thing looks. But let's get a closer look on Sonic and Tails that come with this set. Now, the Sonic figure that you get is exactly the same. It is the same exact figure that you gotten from the 4-figure pack, except that on the 4-figure pack, you got serial numbers on each person's foot or leg. And there's no serial number on these figures. So if you want a clean looking Sonic, there you go. It looks really nice. But besides that, it has the same type of quality and quality control as the other figures. So there's no real difference there. But like I said earlier, unfortunately, since there's no window display, you can't investigate and see how well these figures are going to look. And then these figures are also wrapped in a ton of plastic and then taped down. So you can't even just open a box and investigate that way either. There's no way being slick about it. And then we also get the Tails figure, and Tails in his headgear is absolutely adorable. I love it so much. And I can't wait to see how it looks in the movie because it's probably even cuter. But like I said earlier, Tails fits in here relatively easily. As long as you have his tails pointing up and you just have him in a sitting position, he can fit in the plane just fine. He does shift a little bit side to side when you move the plane around, but for the most part, he does sit in there relatively well. And then there's 3 peg holes on top so you can fit Sonic and friends on there because eventually Knuckles is going to want to be on top of that plane maybe. Again, as of this recording, the movie's not out yet. And I'm really excited for this movie. But here's how Sonic looks on top of the plane with Tails flying it. It looks incredible. This is something I've wanted as a display since I've seen Sonic do this in Sonic Adventure. And we've had other toys in the past with Tomy and Jazzwares, but none of them were able to actually do this, I don't think. Actually, the Tomy one might have. I can't remember, but I don't think so. But this is the perfect tornado toy in a very long time. Like, I love this. I love this so much. And the fact that it has more peg holes for other characters just makes it an even better deal. Like a more fun toy to play with. But how do the other characters fit on this? At least from the other toy lines like Jazzwares or Tomy or even the other not Jazzwares, or even the other Jakks Pacific 2.5-inch figures. Let's break it down. So first, Jazzwares, they barely fit. Tails just barely fits in that cockpit. You can make him sit in there, but just barely. So the pegs are too big for the peg holes in each character's foot from Jazzwares, but if you're strong enough, you can push it through. I don't recommend doing that, but you can if you want to. But because the joints are so loose on these figures, and the figures are so top heavy, especially Sonic, they're probably gonna tip over anyway unless you put them in a certain position. So I don't recommend doing that anyway, because the design of the tornado isn't accurate to the canon Sonic at all. But if you really want to do that, you can. What I recommend doing is actually going to find like the Jakks versions of the 2.5-inch figures. Finding the proper modern tails is going to be difficult because there's two versions. There's one that was very, very early that has its tails pointing up. That's the one you want to get. But because it was very early, it's very hard to find now. There's a new one that came out, I forget how long ago, but it has his tails trying to spin like he's trying to fly. That's probably not going to fit in the plane all that well. Unfortunately, I have none of these figures, so I can't demonstrate it. But there's multiple versions of modern Sonic in the 2.5-inch scale, so I'm trying to find the right one that suits the way you want it to look. They all fit on there. It's the same peg holes. They all work just fine. Doing the Tomy or Jazzwares classic Sonic figures won't work all that well because, one, Tomy's tails can't move, so like I'm not sure how well it's going to adjust in the cockpit, but none of them have peg holes on their feet, so getting Sonic to fit on there is not going to happen. It's not going to fly. Which makes me praise the Jakks line even more. Like, I'm primarily a Jazzware collector, like I said earlier, but the way they've been handling the Sonic license for the toy line is absolutely incredible, and I actually want them to hold on to this license for as long as they can. I want them to honestly probably be the permanent home for the Sonic figures, because they've been doing it more justice to the Sonic franchise, I guess, since Jazzwares. Jazzwares did a really great job with their figures for the most part, but Jakks has been killing it lately, so kudos. And I'm happy they did this tornado in a 2.5-inch scale because it doesn't take up too much like footprint room on your shelf. So the wingspan is 11 inches and it's about 8 inches deep and a little over 4 inches tall when you're angling it like just on the table or on your shelf. But when you put Sonic on top of that, it adds another 2.5 inches, so it's gonna be about 6 to 7 inches tall. So if you have the space, sweet. Unfortunately, I don't have that shelf space, so I'm gonna try to make him just fly in the room and just hope for the best. So, do I recommend picking this up? Absolutely. For only 20 bucks, this thing's amazing. Unfortunately, there's no store pickup, so you may want to ask a friend if they want it too, so you can just buy 2 of them and then just do free shipping on it if you want. That's what I did personally. I'm cheap, but man, I'm so happy I picked this thing up. This thing is too cool. Technically, you can put the 4-inch figures on this thing, at least on top of here, because the peg holes are exactly the same size. It looks awkward, so I don't recommend doing it, but I'll do it for you if you want to see it. And there he is. How do you feel about this? Let me know in the comments. Some of you might think this actually looks right. Some of you think this looks wrong. Let me know in the comments, because I need to hear your thoughts on this one. So that overall concludes my review of this set. Like, it's definitely worth picking up. Like, I love the 2.5-inch scale because they can do bigger things like this without it taking up too much space on your shelf or your room in general. And I'm excited to see how the Death Eggman robot thing shows up, because like this is supposed to coincide with that, but I don't have the space for that, so I'm not sure I'm gonna pick that up. If I get enough like support in this little review series, then maybe I'll pick it up and just do the review, just to do the review. But I'm on a budget. Like I'm living paycheck to paycheck, man. The fact that I'm spending as much money as I am on these Sonic figures is kind of overwhelming. I probably shouldn't do it, but I love these. But that's it for the video. So if you're new and you like what you saw, you know what to do. In the description, there's my social media. I take pictures of toys on Instagram, so you might enjoy that. And like I said earlier, links will be in the description if you want to pick this thing up, if you want to hear more details from Jakks themselves about this thing. This thing's neat. This thing is definitely worth picking up. It's worth adding in your collection. But if you pick this up, do you plan on pairing other Sonic characters with it? Are you going to pair the modern Sonic? Or are you going to pair the classic Sonic with it? Let me know. But thank you for watching. I'm very thankful for you actually watching all this. I love you guys to death, and I guess I'll see you on the next one. So peace.